Today we are going to talk about negotiation skills. Negotiation skills. What comes in your mind when you talk about negotiation? Let's start with a simple truth. Every interaction, big or small, is a negotiation. Whether you are ordering a coffee or pitching $1 million deal, you are using the influence to reach an outcome. The trick is learning how to recognize and use this in your advantage. So, what is negotiation? What comes in your mind when you think about the word negotiation? Basically, negotiation is a strategic conversation where both parties work together to share or benefit the outcome. It is not about the winning, it's about resolving the conflict, aligning the interest, and finding a common ground. But why negotiation skills matter in day to day life? So, strong negotiation skills reduce conflict, build trust, and unlock better results in work, in relationships, and even in self management. If you want to grow in your career or lead others effectively, this is a non negotiable skill. I'll take certain more examples while I'll move forward to this training session. But right now, just write down what is your understanding about negotiation and put in comments what is your definition of negotiation. Now, coming to the part of negotiation. Mastering the negotiation skills and defining types and applications. So, once we are starting with negotiation skills, I just want to add what is exactly the definition of negotiation, what are the different types, and what are the applications where we use negotiation skills. Negotiation is a dynamic process involving two or more parties aiming to reach an agreement and mastering it various forms, which is crucial in effective communication, conflict resolution, and fostering positive relationships in both personal and professional settings. So, what is the mindset of marketplace in negotiation? Number one, every single thing is a negotiation. Recognize those daily interactions from simple conversations to complex deals involving negotiation elements that influence outcome. Influence in market conversations. Understand the power of persuasive communication and strategic questioning to shape perceptions and drive favorable results. And number three, the role of trust and service in negotiation. Acknowledge that establishing trust and priority services enhances relationship, leading to more successful and sustainable agreements. So now we have understood what is the mindset around negotiation in the market and how everything is seen as a negotiation instead of a discussion or conversation. So, what are the key pillars of a successful negotiation? So, there are three. Building relationships. Every relationship brings a conversation in place. While cultivating trust and rapport to create a positive atmosphere, conducive to collaboration and effective dialogue. Number two, understanding the interest. Identify underlying motivations and desires of all parties to find common ground and facilitate mutual beneficial solutions. Number three, recognizing BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. While assess and know your alternatives, you have to understand more and get more knowledge about the certain topic which is in discussion to strengthen your negotiating position. and to improve outcomes when discussions stall. So, what is the role of creativity and fairness in negotiation skills? This creativity and fairness helps you to improve your negotiation skills, which comes as brainstorming solutions. You have to encourage diverse ideas and perspectives to foster innovative thinking and effective problem solving. What is the importance of fairness? The fairness promote equity in decision making to build trust and ensure all parties feel valued and heard. So, what is negotiation commitment or commitment in negotiation? This emphasizes the significance of follow through on agreements to strengthen relationships and to enhance collaboration. How do we do the effective communication in negotiation? We have to choose active listening over active speaking. Yes, this is pretty important. When we engage fully with the speaker by giving them our undivided attention, this enhances understanding and build rapport. It also increases the trust of the other person to hear us out effectively as well. Information exchange techniques. This employs strategies such as paraphrasing or summarizing to clarify points and ensure both parties are on same page during discussions. This helps us to make sure that we have understood what the other person is saying. This provides a validation and a confirmation to the other person that we are totally involved in the communication. Preventing misunderstandings. Clarify assumptions and use precise language to minimize the risk of misinterpretation, fostering a smoother negotiation process. While we have multiple ways of communicating the same thing, but because of the environment, culture, situation, and the tact used in the discussion, it might change the scenario while we speak. So it is better to use a simple language as well as it is better to reflect the ideas spoken by the other person to make sure we have understood it correctly. And this prevents misunderstanding. So, what are the strategies for negotiation preparation? Research and set boundaries. While we conduct thorough research on other parties' interests and limitations, while clearly defining your own non negotiable terms, it helps us to understand the other party more clearly, while we also understand what we can expect and discuss and point out while we are having the negotiation. Crafting a plan B. Now, developing an alternative strategy that outlines your options should the negotiation fail, ensure you remaining flexible and empowered during discussions. Plan B is not something where you are already confirming that plan A is being failed. However, because of the negotiation power, it might be possible that a person have some important information that can change the flow of conversation and your plan A might not be the right place strategy. So, crafting a plan B is always supportive where your team can directly interact in different way while the plan A is not working as expected. This helps the team to remain flexible and make sure that they can handle the buffer and the differences from planned versus actual situations. Preparing for emotional management. Anticipating potential emotional triggers and creating techniques to maintain composure, enabling rational decision making throughout the negotiation process. If you have seen ever a movie or the series called Suit, you would have seen how the potential emotional triggers can bring an expression on a person's face. And this might be a place where you are inviting another question from a person which you really don't want to answer. So, creating those techniques which help you to maintain composure, and you have to anticipate potential emotional triggers. That is something where you have to prepare yourself. This helps us to have an enabled rational decision making throughout the negotiation process. Active listening and emotional intelligence. While we have talked in the start that how active listening and emotional intelligence can change the way how we negotiate, it is also very important to understand how we can understand is this an active listening or we are utilizing the emotional intelligence in our conversations. Number one, importance of listening ratio. To strive for a balanced listening to talking ratio, to enhance understanding and promote effective communication during interactions, it is important to understand 70 to 80% of time you are listening and 20 to 30% of the time you are speaking. As much as you listen, as much as you are stronger in a negotiation. Managing emotions in negotiation. Recognize and regulate your emotions to foster a constructive atmosphere, enabling better decision making and collaborate during negotiations. While we are at a place that could bring certain topics which are not very comfortable to be talked about, the weaknesses or the threats which we are always worried of, our rational mind choose to reflect emotions over conversations. To keep and foster a constructive atmosphere, you have to regulate your emotions. Because as soon as you bring your emotions on the table, it is really challenging for the other person to grab those places where they are finding your strength. And yet, you are at a place where you have already lost half of your battle because of the emotions reflected on the table, which are not chosen by you. Number three, building trust through listening. Demonstrate genuine interest by actively engaging with other perspectives, fostering an environment of trust and openness that encourages collaboration. You have to demonstrate whether you are really listening. When you listen, people get engaged. They tend to speak more. They tend to share more. They tend to trust in a subtle way, which fosters an environment of trust and openness. And that helps you to encourage collaboration during your negotiation as well. So, what are the type of negotiation strategies? Distributive negotiation, win-lose approach. This strategy focuses on dividing a fixed amount of resources, often leading to a competitive environment where one party gains is another party's loss. This is basically where the power loop is not almost equal, and the amount of resources are very limited comparing to the discussions and comparative environments. Integrative negotiation, which is also called as win-win approach. This approach seeks mutually beneficial solutions by addressing the interest and need of both parties, fostering collaboration and creative problem solving. In this, the energy and the benefits are almost equal. Both the parties have almost equal knowledge of each other and they address the interest and needs based on both the parties, which fosters a positive collaboration and creative problem solving. Collaborative versus competitive strategies. Understanding the distinction between these two strategies helps the negotiator choose the most effective approach based on relationship dynamics and objectives involved in the negotiation process. What are the applications of negotiation skills in a workplace? Negotiating with coworkers. Utilizing active listening and empathy to foster collaborative relationships leading to a mutual beneficial agreements. Active listening and empathy has been a core part of negotiation skills. It also fosters collaborative relationship with your peers and helps you to do a mutually beneficial agreement with them. Another one comes as salary negotiations. Prepare a comprehensive understanding of market standards and personal achievements to advocate effectively for fair compensation. This is pretty common across the people who look for career in the marketplace. The negotiation is skill right here is being used to provide a comparative study of your uniqueness as compared to rest of the market. However, these days there are multiple tools which are used for conversational AIs as well as resume and case study tools where you can provide your achievements while understanding the market standards. But while speaking, this is a place where you have to think and approach the interviewer to make them understand how you understand the part of their portfolio and how you can add a value to that particular part through your skills and competency. This is a very strong place where salary negotiations takes place. If you are good at negotiation skills, then this is a place where you are going to get a higher salary or an effective discussion over the salary terms. Dealing with management. In this approach, discussions with management by presenting data-driven arguments and aligning proposals with organizational gain and support their goals. While we have discussed about how we have to understand the other party and the details about them, this also helps us to create a data-driven detail. While we create a data-driven detail, we can also compare to what we are expecting versus what the other person, other party have. And we can propose that particular solution based on our research and study with our better adapted negotiation skills, which makes us a stronger person to talk about how we are going to add our value in a particular decision or discussion. What are the real world examples of negotiation? When we talk about negotiations, One of the most simple example comes us with the trade talks across different countries, or something where we have to talk about two different business talking together to make sure that the thing is being launched in the market well, like Apple Music and record labels. If you want to understand more about it, you can go and see the case study of Apple Music and record labels, where you'll understand how Apple Music navigates complex negotiations with record labels to secure exclusive content and favorable terms. This is a kind of study where you'll understand if you know your product good and you know the market, you can easily approach to the market through your own conditions with the effectiveness of your product. But the major important thing is you have to understand the positioning from marketplace equally as much as you know the product. Another important example right here is India US trade talks. You can analyze multifaceted discussions between India and United States, which are focused on tariffs, trade barriers, and bilateral agreements to enhance economic cooperation. As much as these are confined and limited to very specific statements, it is really important to understand the background of how we brought our thought to that level where we are ready for this kind of discussion or a contract. Now, recently, European Union and India also have a free trade sign off. You can also research about it and try to understand how both the places have decided to have this free trade off and how this negotiation has taken place. These are very generic but very strong strategic examples of having negotiations where, as much as you understand your own service and products, you also understand how it works for them and would be a benefit to them as well. The last one I would give an example is the Friends caste salary negotiation. So this is one of the example which has been so long. You know this Friends as a series where the negotiations as well as the pay raises are depending on the leverage and timing in the contract decisions. Not everybody was signing the contract at the same time. And this is where the whole scenario has been changed. It is pretty common in movies because if a character or an actor is working in a movie and their movie is released and suddenly their price gone high, there are high probable chances that the value or the amount on which they have negotiated before versus the value or amount they are looking forward to may change, and this may impact the shooting of a movie as well. So this is all about how we are going forward to do the negotiation skills and practice these negotiation skills. Now, coming to the tips for improving negotiation skills. What is the importance of preparation? Thorough researching all relevant information and understanding the interest of both parties can significantly enhance the negotiation effectiveness. As much as you study, as much as you rationalize, as much as you bring a competitive advantage based on what you know versus what the marketplace know, it brings you an advantage over the negotiation discussions. It brings confidence in putting your point and making sure that this is something that may change and turn the tables for your good. Emphasizing compromise, recognizing the value of finding a middle ground, ensure that both parties feel heard and satisfied ultimately leading to a more successful outcome. You can see this as common as in relationships. When two partners are talking or having a conflict over a thought or a decision to make, the middle ground is the best way to make sure that both of the situations are being done. However, here also listening does it work. When you understand what exactly the other person mean, apart from words, you would also be able to understand their emotional capacity. What emotions they are using while they are negotiating. What are the real things behind their words, what they are looking for. And that's where you would be trying to make a proposal which could work as a middle ground, but the strength would be coming from a place where you are leading to the successful outcomes through win win situations. Setting timelines and deadlines. Establishing clear timelines creates a sense of urgency and helps maintain focus, enabling negotiators to move discussions forward effectively and decisively. In negotiations, the limitation of time is pretty important because every single person have a number of points to bring on the table. When the negotiation timelines are clear, it creates a sense of urgency, and that also increases our competency because we have to maintain focus and also enable us to have discussions move forward effectively and decisively so that we are not stopping or not just nurturing the decision which can be taken within a limited timeline. Persuasion and problem solving in negotiation. Effective persuasion techniques. Negotiation is a part of art of pursuing, art of understanding the other party, art of understanding our requirements and bridging the gap with a conversation which we call as negotiation skill. So what are the effective persuasion techniques? Storytelling and emotional appeals to create a connection is being utilized and influence the decision making process. As humans, we are very prone to storytelling. Since childhood, we have been learned all the important concepts of our life using stories. When we use stories, it put a mark in our mind like how a situation can change from one situation to another. We also use multiple cases, which increases the emotional capacity and are real and practical examples of somebody experiencing the same situations instead of stories. These two are very appealing and effective persuasion techniques, which creates a connection not from the person next to you, but through the story or experience they have provided in your mind to visualize the things which are not being done yet. And that influences the overall decision making process. Problem solving strategies. Employ collaborative approaches that focus on mutual interest, enabling all parties to find agreeable solutions. It is something which is again negotiable and again comes from the listening skills. When you are a good listener, you would be able to understand the problem effectively, and then you can propose what goes in mutual interest, and the other party would also try to make ensure that they are also working on the same kind of engagement, and both enables a party to find the agreeable solutions. Offering multiple solutions. Present diverse options that cater to verifying and varying needs and preferences, enhancing the likelihood of favorable agreement. So, whenever we are doing the negotiation skills, we don't go with one single solution. We provide multiple solutions and offers to compare, which is a high power tendency of any human to check and compare and identify which is a better option. For this, you have to understand the preferences and needs and cater the solutions to provide the diverse options with a combination. Just imagine the different kind of subscriptions when you like the product or a service, and those are the offers where there are certain things written as most recommended and certain things where they are defining the pro value, like this is ultra pro or something like that, where you realize this is something which is for the premium members. So you feel that part when you try to subscribe to it. And this is a power of multiple solutions, multiple options which are being provided with a silent negotiation you are doing in your mind while looking at the picture in front of you. Learning from failures in negotiation. So it's not always the fact that negotiation is always successful. Because of many scenarios, sometimes it also leads to failure. And this is a part where you are understanding what are the places where we have to learn and improvise our negotiation skills. Number one, embracing failure as a learning tool. You have to understand that the setbacks in negotiations are valuable opportunities for reflection and growth, enabling negotiators to enhance their future strategies. Number two, identifying weaknesses. Analyze past negotiation experiences to pinpoint specific areas of difficulty, such as communication gaps and the emotional responses you had, that can address to improve the performance in future meetings. Number three, continuous improvement. Commit to ongoing self assessment and training in negotiation skills, ensuring that lessons learned from previous failures are integrated into practice for better outcomes. So, how do we practice for negotiation skills? There are certain examples which are being given and can be used together with the peers or by yourself or by understanding and providing a mock scenario to the respective situation. Number one, role playing scenarios. Engage in realistic situations that mimic real life negotiations to enhance adaptability and critical thinking. Another one, mock negotiations with peers. Collaborate with fellow students to stimulate negotiation processes, fostering teamwork and constructive feedback. Last one, building confidence through practice. Repeated practice helps to reduce anxiety and improve performance. Instilling a sense of competence in negotiation context helps to build confidence through repetitive habits. So, finally, what we have seen in this session is where we have covered most of the effective negotiations, what are the different type of negotiations, what definition negotiation skills would have. We also worked on understanding how we can keep up with our encouragement in ongoing development and practice in negotiation skills. There are workshops, reading material, real life applications where we can adapt the proficiency and go through those scenarios to practice and mock them with our peer groups, as well as understanding the minimal things which may impact a negotiation. So, my final thoughts on negotiation is to emphasize the long term benefits. including improved communication, career advancement, and conflict resolution. But if you have any which you want to share, please do share in the comments and let me know what are the takeaways you have from this session. So, here we come to the end of our first session about negotiation skills. Please put in comments and let me know what is your takeaway from this session, and we'll try to cover more in upcoming sessions. Thank you for attending this session. Follow to stay updated and tuned with Swayantran.